I'm Mariana. Welcome to my first video. Today I'm going to be doing a repaint on these little holiday houses. I got them on an online thrift shop for like $1.50 a piece. I have a bunch of them, so stay tuned for more makeovers. Okay, so the first step is I decided to make a quick sketch of each house so that I could test out different color schemes and then make note of any kind of alterations I might want to make. But because I've never actually filmed myself doing anything before, I kept drawing out of frame. And then I basically ignored everything I drew and did something completely different. So we're just going to go ahead and toss these right out the window. So moving on, we will start with the clay. I used a 2-part epoxy. So you mix part A with literally part B and it will create a nice air dry modeling clay to use. It's really good for detailed work, but it doesn't have a super long drying time either. So I used it for things like reattaching the chimney on this house. And then I used it for adding detail work around the front door of this particular house, and I just used some random little sculpting tools I had on hand to create some different textures in there. I'm definitely not a professional when it comes to clay. I can get by on the bare minimum, as you will definitely see. I also covered the signs that were on this particular house because the text was engraved in. I didn't want to deal with that, so I added a really thin coat over all of them so that I can write something later on them. On this part, I added a chunk over the detailing because I just didn't really love the way it looked. So I flattened that all out so that I could carve my own things in. And I did that on the smaller part as well over the front door. Yay for sanding. So after a couple hours, or in my case days, because you know, mom life, time for a quick sand down. I just want to kind of rough it up the current paint because I don't know what they used and I don't know what kind of sealant they had on it. So this just gives me kind of a blank canvas to work with. You definitely want to wear a mask when you're doing this because you don't want to inhale all of the resin particulates. It's super bad for your lungs. So let's just speed through that. Then grab your gesso before it rolls off the table, which I did many times, and you slather on a nice thin coat over everything. And if you don't know, gesso is basically just a primer. It's to prep your surface for painting. And it will cover all the previous colors, so it gives you a nice blank slate to work with, but it also closes any pores in the surface so the paint stays where it is, specifically acrylic paint, instead of like absorbing into the item itself. Normally you want to do thin coats, wait about 24 hours in between. However, hashtag mom life, I didn't do that. I only did one thin coat and I waited like a couple hours to keep going. So, you know, it is what it is, but it still worked out. So now we can move on and the fun part begins. So this first house, we're going 50 shades of purple. And I decided I wanted the house super dark purple, and in the natural light, I thought it was a lot lighter, so I went ahead and added a ton of black to it, which I definitely regretted later because it made it way too dark, and you can really only see the purple tints in like the perfect lighting, but still it's kind of pretty, so I guess it works. Anyway, you just kind of want to slather it on for the first layer. I made sure to get into every nook and cranny and crevice, and definitely where I don't want the dark purple later, but that's okay. And then I switched over to super light kind of lilac purple for all of the roof and the trim and eventually the chimney as well. I love the contrast between the two purples, and you know, like I said, subtly Valentine's Day, not anything crazy, because I'm just not like a crazy person like that. Well, I'm crazy, but just not like about Valentine's Day. Anyway, moving on. Here I am adding yellow to the windows to kind of give it that light coming in look. I found doing the trim around the window and then adding the yellow and sort of wiping away where it hits the trim is the easiest way to do it, because in case you can't really tell, these things are tiny. They're like 2.5 inches, so you gotta work with what you got. Here I am just adding some more colors around on all the little items in the yard. So here it's a wagon, it's holding a sign that says something that I'll show later. There's also some little apple baskets in the front yard. So here I am adding some black wash to the top of the roof to kind of give it some variance in the shades and kind of show some wear and tear on the roof. But I decided to paint it pretty much just cut off the entire time. So here you go. Here's that beautiful view. Rocking it. Look at that. Beautiful. Don't you love my cutting mat? Became my painting mat eventually. Oh, here we go. Think I'm coming? Yeah, there we are. Oh, then I decided to finally put it in frame, but cover it with my hand. So let's just move on to the next house, will we? So this house, I decided I wanted it to be kind of a super light pink. And I didn't show this because I forgot to record it, but I actually put a light pink on there and hated it. So I mixed some rose gold with white, so it's super, super light. Now this house literally glistens in the sun, so cannot pick it up in the camera, but as you can see, it looks super different from the white gesso that I already put on. And of course, I'm covering it with my hand again, because that's what I'm good at. You're welcome, guys. You're welcome. And I'm just gonna speed through that because you guys are literally watching me paint something that's almost white on top of something white. So, super fun. Okay. Now for the roof, I did black. I love a white house with black roof. I'm sorry, not a white house. It is got rose tinted white. Anyway, it's white for all intents and purposes. So I'm just fixing up all the black edges, adding it around the trims, and then promptly covering it so you can actually see what I'm doing. Here it has this really great bay window. Lots of little lines there, tiny, tiny lines. And then I'm going back in with my kind of yellow gold and adding the warmth back into the windows to make it look like they're kind of lit up from inside again. And spoilers, because I'm showing those out of order of which I painted, this is where I learned that if I paint the trim first and then add the gold and just wipe it away, it works beautifully. Now I'm coming back in with the hot pink because, you know, it's Valentine's Day. But you don't actually get to see it because that would just be weird if I actually showed what I was painting during this recording, right? Look at my nails, aren't they pretty? Oh, I realized what I was doing. Oh, and then promptly brought it back out of the screen. Go me. I'm a pro, what can I say? Skipping ahead, I'm adding some pink to the trim, and then now I'm just adding kind of a black wash into the house itself, just to, again, make it look less brand new and more well-loved and used and like nature has seen it. Now we're going to skip ahead to the last house. Here I decided to go with pink and get a little bit more traditional Valentine's Day. Got some bright pink. I added a little bit of white to make it a little less bright. Looks a little Pepto-Bismol-y, at least in this lighting it does. But yeah, I went with it. I loved it. Looks cute. Let's roll that beat shot. As you can tell, I am definitely taking my time to make sure that I'm not messing things up. I'm definitely not being sloppy with this at all. So here I'm adding some black to the roof, which I thought was a good idea, but changed my mind. I added some rose gold into the black, and I actually didn't like mix it. I just kind of put them next to each other in the palette and grabbed whatever I grabbed at the time, if that makes any sense. Sort of like naturally mixes it that way. Maybe it's just lazy, probably just lazy. Anyway, I loved it. Kind of gave the black a little bit of a shimmer, which is super pretty. As you can probably tell, the rose gold is my favorite color. So I'm adding that rose gold black to the trim all around the windows, along the house edges, like the corners have some panels, and there's some panels that run parallel to the house, so I added that into the detailing as well. I really love this house. I really want to move in, but it's kind of besides the point. Can you get like a black rose gold roof? Because sign me up for that. What's happening here is that I'm getting a little wild and crazy, and I painted all of the trees pink. And I hated it. So you're welcome for being really bad at recording that. Back in, so it's hard to see here, but I did add a little bit of a pink and black wash to the walls to once again kind of wear it all down so it's not so perfect looking. Now let's skip ahead so you can see what these beauties look like. The first one, victim number one, is a Wilson ranch house. It started out this life as this beautiful yellow cottage, and it turned into this semi-haunted looking purple house thing. Victim number two, the Pacific and Mountain Telegraph Company. Started out life with this little green roof and ended with this pretty black roof. Shake it up with some more flocking, because why not? And as you can see, I also added in some words. So on the front here, it says Madame Mortos, and on the back it says Seance Room and has a third eye. So come if you dare. Okay, moving on. Victim number three, Ladies Temperance Society. I ended life with this adorable little pink cottage. Nothing super creepy here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye!